The driver's seat is presented by Ray Reese Volkswagen and Portland's Hyundai, Portland's #1 VW dealer, and Portland's newest Hyundai dealer. Now let's climb into the driver's seat on Miles Around Television.
In our driver's seat, it's the 2008 Audi S5. Audi's a great company that brought us lots of engineering innovations. The 5-cylinder engine, the Quattro, the aluminum block, and the direct fuel injection. This S5 is made up of two separate vehicles. The front end is Audi's R8, and the rest of the car is made up of the 2003 Nuvolaro, which was one of their concept vehicles. Now, the difference between the S5 and the A5 is the front radiator grille. Right, Dennis?
Well, there are more differences between the A5 and the S5 than just that beautiful grille, and I'm glad that Nick pointed that out. Now, the S5 is the performance model of the A5/S5 model, and this car really is an accumulation of everything that Audi, and even all the way back to the days of AutoNation, have come to be known for. I have to point out things like the Quattro, and we'll get to that in the performance section, but it is one of the best-looking coupes out there. We'll take a look at that bright red leather interior. We'll take a look at the styling on the exterior, but right now, let's take a look under the hood.
I'm going to hold no punches in this review and tell you this is one of the most exciting cars I've had a chance to drive in the last 12 months. Underneath the hood, a 4.2 FSI V8 engine, the same family that we've seen in Audi and VW over the last few months.
Well, you know what? I'm going to agree with Nick. This is one of the most exciting cars to come off the line of any auto manufacturer, let alone sit in our studios right here at Miles Around. The 4.2-liter V8 puts out 354 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds, and the quarter mile in 13.3. It is a top-speed limited car, 155 miles an hour, but you can put just about any power plant under the hood and have fun. It has to do with that Quattro system. Audi has been known for putting all-wheel drive and performance into one sentence, and this car is no different. It makes the car feel so planted. No matter how hard you drive the car, no matter how well you get out of shape, understeer, oversteer, whether the rear end's coming out, it doesn't matter. This car puts the power on the ground, and the beauty of it is it makes you feel so much better at the wheel than maybe you really are. I have to say, when you drive the car, it gives you that certain exhilaration that only an Audi can give you. There is some downside. You'll go through clutches a little more than the average car, simply because when you try to go fast right out of the line, it does eat up the clutch because all the power goes right to the tires. So overall, for me, one of the best cars out there to drive, whether it's wet or dry. One of the things I want to point out before we go to the exterior styling of the Audi S5 is the fact that Audi makes everything come together. I just sat and talked about how great the car was, no matter what the conditions are on the road, but it's the little things. Audi, unlike most performance car manufacturers, actually puts winter sport tires on their car, and I think that's something that you have to take note of, especially right here in the Pacific Northwest. Now, the other things like ESP and their dynamic stability control all work together, but it's the little things that matter, and these tires will help you stick on the road.
Let's talk about the exterior styling for the 2008 Audi S5. This is one of the most complicated and the most beautiful fronts of vehicles I've seen in a long time. Look at the amount of different air dams and air vents here, the grille itself, and of course all of these different sensors and body shapes on the front. And something that was taken directly from the R8 is of course the beautiful LED lights here at the front. Yes, they do make the car look like some kind of beastie coming at you in the night.
Well, no, that was just me at the lights. The Audi S5 is one of the most beautiful cars, and I do have to agree with Nick, not only the front, but the side of the vehicle. One of the things I'll note is the fact that the whole car has this beautiful shape to it, and I do have to make a remark, it's one of the largest sun panels out there. No, it doesn't slide back, but it gives you a nice panoramic view to the outdoors while you're driving. The other thing I have to make note of is it doesn't have huge blind spots. A lot of cars of this caliber have all of their focus looking out towards the windshield. Well, that's great when you're driving on a performance-minded road, but when you have to park in the driveway, it's nice to know where you're looking. The other note I'm going to make is the beautiful back end here. It has kind of a built-in lip spoiler, and I love the exhaust set. Nice side-by-side twin outlets in the back, and of course, well, it looks like a beautiful Audi R8 at half the cost.
Now we're inside the 2008 Audi S5. The interior, of course, is very luxurious, very Audi. Everything's laid out on the interior in such a way that it makes it easy to drive. Now, the pillars on the steering wheel are fairly large, and so one thing they've done is they've laid their gauges out on the inside, so when you have your steering wheel turning, you can actually look on each side of the pillar on the steering wheel and catch the gauges from each angle. The gauges are well spaced out on the front. Now, that sounds like a really complicated thing to talk about and something a bit confusing, but it looks like somebody sat in this car and spent several hours. What are you going to look at? I'm looking at the road, I'm looking at the gauges, I'm looking over at the navigation system, and made sure that you can see everything when you were turning, whatever angle the car was at, when you needed to look round and your view from the back. Everything is well laid out and really clear and visible. That means that this car had somebody inside who was thinking when they designed it, and that's a positive for me.
When it comes to the interior of the new Audi S5, I'm only going to mention a couple things. Part of that electronic system is the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which has incredible sound quality and clarity, and the great MMI system that controls the navigation. Once you learn it, which is a little bit cumbersome, it really is one of the best systems out there. And then, of course, I'm sitting in it, this great leather covering. Audi is daring enough to put colors inside one of their great sports cars that's outside the box of the normal color combinations, and I have to commend them for that.
We've come to the part of the show when we talk about our 2 ups and 1 down. And my 2 ups for the 2008 Audi S5 are very simple. First of all, the exterior styling is one of the most outstanding pieces of engineering and of design I have seen in a long time. This vehicle marries all the things that Audi do really well. The design of the R8, the LED headlamps, the body overall, the wide stance on the road, even down to the hood and some of the body curvature. My second up for this vehicle has got to be the interior. Here you have electronics, everything you could possibly want. Your passenger could take a 2-hour drive with you and still not get through all of the electronics on the interior of the car. And if you don't find something on the interior of this car as electronics go, you actually haven't looked in the manual or you haven't spent enough time trying to discover it. This car is well loaded, it looks really nice on the inside and gives you everything you could possibly want for any lifestyle. My down for this vehicle, and this has been much discussed in the Miles Around team, I can tell you it comes down to the gears and the clutch. This car is rough on the road, it's difficult to change, and we found it quite exhausting to drive. I think with some tuning of that gearbox, a new clutch, this vehicle could actually be one of my favorite cars of 2008.
My 2 ups and 1 down are just as easy to rattle off as Nick's were. My first up is going to be the driver's position. I love the red leather, and I love the fact that the interior kind of encapsulates you as a driver. It makes you feel as if you're sitting in a jet fighter or jet plane rather than a performance car. And then you got to go over to my other up, the Quattro system. It is amazing for me to think that every other auto manufacturer hasn't gone out, taken an Audi apart, and just point blank copied it. It is the best, most refined system on the road, and it makes you feel, like I said before, like a better driver than you actually are. Now, when it comes to my down, I talked about that great glass panel that gave you that panoramic look up into the sky at night or even during the day. Now, there's a down to that. It doesn't open more than a crack. And when I pay close to $60,000 for an automobile that's supposed to be my performance personal coupe, I want to at least see some of that fresh air coming through the roof. For me, that's going to be my down. Now, for Miles Around, that concludes our review of the 2008 Audi S5. The 2008 Audi S5 Coupe comes standard with a 4.2-liter, 354 horsepower, dual overhead cam V8, and 6-speed manual transmission. The standard vehicle price is $50,500 with an as-tested price of $58,490. City mile per gallon EPA rating is 14, and highway mile per gallon EPA rating is 21.
The driver's seat is brought to you by Ray Reese Volkswagen. Family owned and specializing in Volkswagens for over 15 years, and proudly presenting the all-new Portland Hyundai. Check them out at rayreese.com.